All right, looks like we're live. What is up, Undroppables Nation? We're back again with another Best Ball Mania 4 live stream draft. We're going for the $3 million. It's a wonderful Sunday night. We have 2 more Sundays until we finally have our full slate of NFL games. But there's still a chance for anybody to take down the $3 million in this Underdog Best Ball Mania tournament. And so joining me today, we have a very special guest, Sam Wagman, does content strategy and fantasy betting at the Game Day NFL. What's up, Sam?
I'm doing well, man. It's we finally have pretty much made it to the end of the off season. This is, the biggest draft weekend of all, and it makes perfect sense that we're gonna rip the winning Best Ball Mania 4 $3 million draft right here on this live stream. So I'm excited to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
I love it. That's the exact sort of mentality that we have to have on if we're going to win the $3 million. That's the exact mentality that you have to have. But I guess let's not waste any time. Let's just go ahead and just jump in a draft room. I think while we wait for the room to fill, just kind of talking like high level strategy. Do you have any sort of like principles or rules that you tend to follow? Like what's top of mind for you when you're in these draft rooms?
The top of mind for me, I'm not the deepest best ball bro out there in the streets. I'm pretty simple. I like to stack where I can. I like to not, build too heavy into one direction. I'm not a huge like experimenter with my drafts. I typically draft one style most of the off season. I typically find myself drafting wide receiver heavy to start, fill out the running backs on the back end, which is a fairly common strategy. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that. It's worked for me. It worked for me last year. Came out positive on the ROI, which was nice. The first time I'd done that in my 2 years of playing best ball, and now my third year, I kind of just follow along. A little closer to consensus than most, but I get out of places in a few spots.
Okay. I like it. You said you get out of place in a few spots. Is there anyone specifically that jumps out that you're like way either overexposed or underexposed when it comes to drafting fantasy?
Yeah, there's only a few guys that there's only 4 guys that I'm over 20% on this year, and they're guys that have been pushed up a little bit to where I'm not drafting them as much as I was a couple months ago. But I got in really heavily on Antonio Gibson. I'm nearly 30% on Antonio Gibson. That's my highest known player. Nice. And I've been an Antonio Gibson guy since he came into the league.
Oh, me too. I love it. I love that. Let's go.
I love the converted wide receiver aspect of it. And I when Ron Rivera originally said, I'm going to turn this guy into Christian McCaffrey, I actually believed him. Mm-hmm. So, I'm very gullible at times when it comes to players that like have nice profiles. So I bought right into that. That proceeded to be 2 years of pain and suffering, not just in fantasy, but in best ball. But we're back again because now the obstacles are gone, and it actually seems like he actually might be used that way. And then the other 3 guys I'm in on, it's 3 running backs and 1 wide receiver. The other 2 running backs are Jeff Wilson, which made sense all off season. He's faded every obstacle so far. He just has 1 more to fade in Jonathan Taylor. Yep. And then if he gets there, that's a nice value and some nice CLV. And then Roshan Johnson, who's popped up a couple boards. Nobody really has a firm look at where he's going yet. I mean, I've seen him projected as the future RB1. I've seen him projected as the RB3. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle at this point. I think he's probably further away from Khalil Herbert than we think he is right now. I think he's probably closer to Deonta Foreman than we think he is right now. So hoping he sneaks his way up. And then I'm all in on Tyler Lockett this year. It's just
nice. Okay.
He's at 21% for me, and he's just perennially underrated, right? Like we're doing this again. He's going off the board in the 30s. So
we're on the clock.
All right.
I'll react to your 4 in a second. Who do you like here? I have 2 guys I like.
Okay. I tend to love Bijan at this spot. He's my RB2. I'm a huge fan of Pat Kerrane and the legendary upside group there. And he's just one of those guys that has that RB1 overall upside. Everything kind of points to him being used multiple ways. Look, the history is there with Arthur Smith. The guy just wants to run the football. Mm-hmm. And I think people have bought into the fact that Tyler Algier is going to be, going to be given a role in this offense. But I still think even with that, Bijan will have the passing role locked down. Yep. He'll have the early down role locked down. I think he'll probably get 225 plus carries. And if he gets, the 75, 80 plus targets that we really think he can get, then he could be locked into 1,500 scrimmage yards and be a very, very, very solid RB1, if not the RB1.
I fully agree. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, Bijan, he's in Arthur Smith's offense last year. Tyler Algier ranked 6th in PFF or something like that in rushing, or 8th maybe in rushing grade. And then imagine what Bijan's going to be able to do in that sort of offense. They have the best rushing offensive line in the entire NFL. They're going to roll out we're on the clock real quick.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm surprised they fell here.
I know you're high on Devontae here, but I mean, I don't know if I can pass up on Saquon's upside.
I was going to say, I don't think we can pass on Saquon.
Yeah.
A Bijan Saquon start feels pretty crazy. I'd be surprised if anybody's running back room in this specific draft comes anywhere close to ours.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it was either going to be Bijan or Saquon or Pollard there for us. And either one of those guys, I would have been perfectly fine with taking at that spot. Let me ask you this. What percentage of drafts do you think you've kind of gone RB heavy and kind of embraced that fragility and gone with a 3-4 running back draft there?
So what percentage of drafts? I want to probably say about 10%. So maybe out of the 140, I think this is 139 today. I think out of about the 140 that I've done, probably about 14 or 15 of them, I've gone only 4 running backs. I don't think I've ever done a 3 running back build. Okay. I think my minimum is usually 4. And then I think about 14 or 15 of my drafts have only 4 running backs where I've gone 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds, maybe 4 through the first 5 or 6 rounds. So whenever those teams feel super, super strong. One of the teams I drafted Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and Joe Mixon. Mm-hmm. And that running back room feels insanely strong to me. So we'll see how that strategy ends up working this season though.
Yeah, I'm not a huge proponent of it. I told you, I told you before, I typically find myself going wide receiver heavy to start. I think it's, it's just safer. And then you load up on the running backs in the 9 to 12 range to give yourself, some floor and stability there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested in possibly chasing, depending on who falls to us. There are a few guys I'm looking at that could fall to us and introduce a really hyper fragile, build style there. But there's definitely a few guys that could be on there when it gets to us in a few picks.
Yeah, I'm never opposed to going a super heavy RB build just because the running backs get pushed so far down the board this year. Where RB12 goes at pick 38.9, previous seasons, RB12 goes at pick 14, 15.
Right.
So it's a massively different landscape than years past where maybe robust running back is the build that you need in order to win. Because if you have 3 workhorses on your team, you're going to get consistent 15 to 25 points week in and week out. Maybe they don't have quite the explosions that some of the top end wide receivers are going to be able to give you, but getting that sort of consistent production week in, week out from 2 or 3 guys, I think could be a pretty big separator this year. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the fact that two of the guys in my top 13 are going to fall to, at least 2 of them are going to fall to us here. And I don't know. What are you thinking here?
Well, I want to see what I don't know if this guy's in our stream or not, so I'm gonna wait for him to go. Okay, he took the guy that I wanted. Jameer.
Yeah, I was Gibbs was definitely one of my guys. How do you feel about Stevenson?
I like Stevenson as well. I think he's a 245-pound back that's fast. He catches passes. He's gonna get used pretty heavily in this offense. Do you want to take him here?
I'm either on Stevenson or Metcalf here, so I'll let you make the pick.
Let's go Stevenson so that we can that that is like a set and forget sort of like first 3 running backs, and we can kind of like ignore the running back position until later in the draft.
Yeah.
Unless someone absurd falls, we can just kind of ignore running backs and just purely focus on wide receivers. And I kind of like going with that sort of strategy.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are a little bit more down on Metcalf, and as I look at your rankings, you're right around consensus on Metcalf, so I can understand going with you have Metcalf and Ramondre back to back, which I like. It's right there for me as well. I boosted Metcalf up 1 spot just due to the fact that the early season he's going to have without JSN. I do think Metcalf's going to see the bulk again, and I think he'll be really good in that role. But I have no problem in waiting there as well. So let's see. Okay, I see a few guys there. So the problem with waiting on running wide receiver is we get stuck with this round 4 group of death.
Yeah, there are a few that I like. We'll see who makes it to us. This guy has 3 wide receivers. This guy has 2. Yeah. So yeah. I bet he goes running back. He probably goes Mixon here, honestly.
Okay.
Goes catch prize. Yep. He might go Najee.
I would hope he goes Najee.
I hope.
Do you have a wide receiver you prefer at this spot?
There is a wide receiver I prefer at this spot. He does go Najee. I like DJ Moore here.
Okay, I like more Watson. I can roll with DJ Moore. I don't really have much of him. He's gone a little bit earlier than I've liked, but he's below ADP here, so let's go for it.
You said you like Christian Watson. Who's higher in my rankings? I have DJ Moore slightly ahead of Christian Watson. Okay, let's go with DJ Moore here.
Yeah, let's go DJ Moore.
And maybe if somehow Justin Fields makes it back to us, we could. Okay, never mind. Justin Fields goes literally the pick right after or 2 after. That's okay though. Okay, we're probably going to want to keep hammering the wide receivers through the next few rounds.
Yeah.
There's a quarterback that you're looking to. I'm curious. What is typically your strategy around quarterbacks this year? Because it's a pretty different landscape.
So when earlier in the offseason when the elite ones were still going in 6 and 7 and sometimes in 8, I was all in on them around that spot. But now that everyone's been boosted up to 5, and you typically see like the top 8 guys off the board by like the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've been locking myself into a lot of Deshaun Watson. I locked myself into a lot of Geno Smith.
Yeah,
I locked myself into a lot of those guys who have projectable ceilings, but also have enough volume to project floor as well. So, guys in that 9 to 15 range have been where I've done a lot of drafting lately in the last couple of months.
Okay, I like that a lot. Yeah, I mean, some of the quarterbacks that I typically like to grab on my teams. Yeah, I like Dak a lot on my teams. Daniel Jones honestly feels like a nice little safe play there too. Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, all of these guys in this like 105 to 113 range. Honestly, these 4 right here, I like having any of them as my QB1.
Yeah, that works for me.
That's a nice little range. And then like I love tacking on Kenny Pickett later as well.
Kenny Pickett's interesting to me. I feel like the community as a whole has been down on Pickett. And with all the projection upside that we're giving to Deontay and George Pickens and literally everyone on the Steelers skill position group, like we kind of have to give it to Kenny Pickett as well, even if we don't like him that much, because a rising tide will lift all boats. So
Yep, exactly. Wow, I like that you use that saying. That's like the 3rd time I've heard that saying. This the first time I heard it was at Scott Fishbowl. The second was at the Expo, and then now I'm hearing it here. Okay, this is a sign. Let's go. This is the draft right here.
Absolutely. So with this kind of build, I feel like we kind of have to push tight end to a back burner as well.
Probably.
And kind of load up on like 3 solid guys in like the mid-teens. Maybe close the draft there, because we're gonna need to hammer wide receiver, get like 5 solid wide receivers by round 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think our next 5 picks should be wide receiver. If my guy falls to us, that would be crazy. I'm scared that he's going to take him, though.
I have a feeling I know who it is.
Yeah. Let's go. Brandon Ayuk, how you feel about that?
Okay. I like him. I was actually going to say Deontay Johnson, but he just went. I'm good with Ayuk. I'm good with Ayuk here. There's a lot of upside there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Brandon Ayuk. I think that it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that he gets drafted at wide receiver 25 when like he had a phenomenal rookie season. Mm-hmm. He was in the doghouse his sophomore year. I think if he was never put in the doghouse, he would be considered more in some of like the elite tier players. And then last year he was like wide receiver 13 or 14. And that was like his third year breakout. And he had like 1,100 yards, like 8 touchdowns. I think that he's just going to continue to rise. And I still think Brandon Ayuk is the wide receiver 1 in that Niners receiver room.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I'm with you on the fact that he's the wide receiver 1 in that receiving room. I think Debo is more of a gadgety style of player that has not shown us much outside of the one good season in 2021. But I do worry about the ceiling potential of that offense, which has led me to. I'm not a huge Brock Purdy fan. I'm definitely not a Sam Darnold fan. I'm a Kyle Shanahan fan. Like I believe he'll get the most out of it. But my concern is not him getting the most out of Brock Purdy. It's the fact that I don't know if Brock Purdy has as much to give. Right. So that leads me, I see where you have Ayuk ranked. I like Ayuk as a player. I don't know if I would be comfortable ranking him that high. It makes more sense at that spot just because of, how their offense works and, how dynamic he can be as a player. But it is interesting to see that there.
That's definitely fair. I think it's more so just like I love Brandon Ayuk's full. Wow, Zay Flowers early. Okay, we're on the clock. Anyone particular that you like here? There's a few that I like.
Mike Evans is a huge target of mine. He's actually my favorite player in the round 7 range in redrafts this year because it's just look. You got a guy who's got 9 straight seasons of 1,000 yards.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He's done it with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's done it with Jameis Winston. He obviously was able to get it done with Tom Brady at a lesser level than Jameis Winston. But above all, the one thing that holds true is whether he's healthy or he's injured or he's playing or he's not, Evans just gets the job done. Someone's got to man the red zone for this team. Baker Mayfield is not the worst quarterback in the entire universe, contrary to popular belief. And I think their defense is not going to be that good, and I think they're going to have to throw a lot. So, and I think Baker's going to look to get the ball out quickly, and I think Evans could turn out to be a very, very solid weapon. Maybe more of a possession receiver than a deep threat. This season with the offensive line issues, and I'm not quite sure what role Chris Godwin's going to play. But I do think Evans is a significant value. I mean, he's going off the board in the early wide receiver 30s, and he's just never been there in his career. Like, he's always a guy that lives inside the wide receiver 2 range. I don't see any reason why he's not going to do that again.
I fully agree with you, honestly. Like, there was a time where I was drafting Mike Evans in every single one of my Best Ball Mania drafts. Over the past month, I haven't been drafting him as much because I've been trying to draft some of the other guys in that range. Just because I was so overexposed to Mike Evans. I think at one point I had 27% Mike Evans in my Best Ball Mania drafts, but I slowed down a little bit. But I completely agree with you. Mike Evans just feels like a pure value this season just because people are betting that the offense is going to be terrible. It feels a lot like what people were doing with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett last year. Everyone thought okay, Geno Smith's the quarterback now. The team is going to suck. I'm not going to draft any of these Seahawks guys. Both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are pushed way down the board when they've never really finished in that sort of range.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Evans is that he's just ultra reliable. Whether he'll have his ceiling and his floor games. You have to just know that they're going to be there. It's part of the reason you draft Tyler Lockett. You draft him for his ceiling games. He's going to squeeze some floors in there as well. Quentin Johnston's a pretty easy pick here for me. It's either him or Brandon Cooks. What do you think?
I like Cooks a lot too.
It's preference. I think we should still swing for some projectability. So I would probably have Johnston a little bit higher.
Let's go Quentin Johnston just because I like having one of these first round wide receivers on our team. and Quentin Johnston now is the last of the four. And it feels like there's very real potential for him to be the best receiver in this class. Like he's 6'4". Like I remember when I was watching him at TCU, the way that he moves, it's like someone who's much, much smaller. And for him to be in this Chargers offense that should be pretty high powered this season, and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams aren't necessarily the perfect bill of health. So Quentin Johnston could find himself in a pretty significant role very early on in his career.
Yeah, I think if he's able to move off some of the issues that have followed him into training camp in the preseason, drops, some body control issues, I think he'll be a really good wide receiver. Again, those are not, the easiest things to shake sometimes for a young wide receiver, but I think he's got two really solid mentors there, and I think he'll be really good there.
So back to us.
Yeah, I feel like this is, a spot probably for Cooks. I can't really see anything else. The only other thing I can think of is if, Cortland Sutton you think has a bigger role, but Cooks we know is going to have a huge role. So
yeah, let's go Brandon Cooks. And I feel like we've filled out our wide receiver room really, really well after starting with 3 short running backs. I'm really liking this build right now. Yeah,
absolutely. And the wide receiver 2 in Dallas always gets targeted.
Yep.
We have a 5-year straight sample of the wide receiver 2 there, getting at least 95 targets every season. And look, Brandon Cooks is no scrub. So
yeah, he's a beast. I mean, Brandon Cooks, like for whatever team he goes to, he goes puts up 1,000 yards. I know he hasn't done it the last 2 years just because like he's struggled in Houston. I mean, he's dealt with atrocious quarterback play in Houston. And now he's got Dak Prescott. This Cowboys offense looks to be pretty good this year. So I like Brandon Cooks a lot this year. I think he's a smash at this ADP.
Yeah, he's safe. He's a safe player to me. I'm a really big fan there, and I think it's a good way to kind of build out. So where do we go from here? Now that we kind of can breathe, we don't have to force wide receiver now. So
yeah, let's see. I mean, I think we just kind of let the board fall to us because, like, I think if we're gonna want to target a quarterback in this range, I do like.
We could go for a Dak stack.
That's what I was thinking. And we could go for a Dak, Brandon Cooks, and then maybe get like a Jake Ferguson later on.
I like that. And it fits with the type of build that we're going to have to build anyways. We could swing on Ferguson a little early to make sure we get him. Yeah. But I like that. Let's see. Looking at everything else. No wide receiver is really is one I'm really in love with here. So I'm down to do that. I love Sky Moore, but he's gonna go before we're up. So I think Dak's gonna be right around for us. Hopefully,
Dak should, unless the CD owner takes him. Let's see who took CD Lamb. CD Lamb. Okay, so we're in front of CD Lamb. He's after us, so we're gonna be able to beat him to the punch for Dak.
And so is the Pollard owner. So
where's the Pollard owner?
11.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be able to beat both of them to the punch. I like that. The Pollard owner also has Herbert, so I wouldn't anticipate him. I bet you the CD owner's banking on Dak to be there because he hasn't grabbed a single quarterback yet. Yeah. And Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. I mean, I guess he could go Sam Howell, Russ, or A. Rich, but that's not quite the safety player with Dak Prescott.
Right. What do you want to do here as far as quarterback goes? Do you want to double them on this turn?
Let's see. We could double up. And
I'm trying to look for a stacking option. We don't really have any. We can kind of go with an unstacked Daniel Jones and pair him with one of the wide receivers later
on. Yeah, maybe we could go for like a Jalen Hyatt or like a Darius Slayton, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We could try it. Let's see.
Right. Let's lock down the first, and then let's go from there.
Let's definitely go ahead and get Dak with our first one.
Okay.
Honestly, if all of the dudes pass on Anthony Richardson, we could also go A. Rich at 113.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of ups.
I have a feeling Anthony Richardson is going to get taken, but if he doesn't, I've seen him fall. Okay, he gets taken right before us. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That feels really good to get a quarterback in like an offense that I I like this year. I think that they're going to be pretty high powered.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to run nearly as much as Mike McCarthy says, though. It is.
Oh, went on mute real quick.
Yeah, it is Mike McCarthy, so he might actually run the ball more than Des, but we will.
I mean, Mike McCarthy has said that he wants to run the ball more, but I don't necessarily think that's true. He's never done it in his career. Like even when he was in Green Bay, he's never run the ball more than he's never been in the top half of the league in terms of rushing attempts. So I'd be surprised if he's like a super run heavy team, especially when they don't have a running back that's built to carry that sort of workload.
Right. I definitely agree with that. In the very slim chance that they run Tony Pollard into the ground, which I can't imagine they're going to do.
Yeah.
All right. So Kirk and Gino are there. Don't really. I love Gino. We don't have anyone to pick him with though. Let's see. Nico Collins is a good wide receiver 6 for me. I've been divesting myself of Jameson Williams shares lately. I haven't been doing it. I know it's painful, but the vibes they are not good. So it's not good at all. I think I'm gonna go there. You know what? I was at the last second. I was gonna tell you to switch it to Kincaid, but over the last couple of days, we've seen some not very flattering news on Kincaid's snap alignment. There's a lot of like an 11.5 out there, which has kind of got me a little bit worried. He did log about a 68% route share, which is not terrible. You obviously want these tight ends, the move tight ends, to be around 75 to 80% to get a good fantasy share. I doesn't put it out of the question that Kincaid can get there a little later in the year. I have a ton in Kincaid, so I'm okay. I'm okay like pulling off for a little bit now and grabbing a later one. There's another rookie tight end I have my eye well on, so we can see where that falls. But I think we're in a really good spot right now with our 1-3-6, and I think there are a couple guys I have my eye on that could really fall to us the way the board's moving.
Nico Collins also opens us up to CJ Stroud later on.
With a Devin Singletary run back, maybe. They have a pretty crappy week 17 game against the Titans, so it's not something it's not a game stack.
Like a Tyjae Spears. Could look at Chigakonkwo.
Interesting. We could swing on Okonkwo as an upside tight end.
152. Yeah, he's fallen. I remember the days of when Chig went in like the 10th round.
Yeah, he like swapped sides with Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid used to go in that 150 range, and now Okonkwo, he's all the way up to like 118, 120. So it's a pretty significant jump for Kincaid. I was happy to be early on that. I pivoted right after the draft. As soon as the Bills grabbed him, I'm like, this guy's going to be an absolute stud. So, because I wasn't in on him pre-draft, I was always in on Mayer, and I didn't love the Mayer spot, and I obviously loved the Kincaid spot. So I flip-flopped right there. Never a good thing.
I was pretty big on Kincaid before the draft. I remember doing a bunch of research on him for the Unending Reload podcast, and basically found out like this dude didn't start playing football until his senior year of high school. He was a basketball player his entire career. His friends were like, yo, like you'd be really good at football. Go play football. He goes out and plays football and wins all state. And then he ends up having to walk on at a community college for football. He walks on and then he crushes his first like 2 years at community college, ends up transferring to Utah, and then becomes their leading receiver as soon as he gets there. So
yeah, I remember watching him for the first time last year in that game against USC, the late season game. Yeah, and I'm just like, this guy's destroying the middle of the field. Like he's dynamite. All right, what do you want to do here? I know what you want to do. We can do that, or we can take a safe running back here, maybe.
Rashad, I like Jamal Williams. I like any of these three guys. Do you have any feelings?
Yeah, I'd probably lean Penny at this point.
All right, let's go Rashad Penny, and that'll close out our running back room.
Yeah.
And I feel really good about those 4 running backs.
Yeah. So for me with Penny, like this again, we're getting him well below ADP. That's huge. You're getting him around and a half below ADP, first of all. So you're kind of mitigating any inherent risk that the Philadelphia backfield turns out anyway, other than what it should, which is Penny on early downs and Swift as the third down change of pace back. No, you don't need anybody else to play a huge part here. You don't need Boston Scott's going to mix in, but you don't need him to mix in that much. You only need him to have 2 to 3 carries a game. And Gainwell doesn't need to be mixed in any more than a change of pace back, because that's the role he thrives in. He doesn't thrive well as an early down back. The guy's 190 pounds soaking wet. So it's just facts. And Rashad Penny is probably a top 10 running back in the NFL. Just has not stayed healthy. And the guy owns so many yards after contact records and just thunderous runs that we've seen. Like, I can't not swing on the talent behind the best run blocking offensive line in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with everything that you said. I mean, just like the funniest chart to me is like the rushing yards over expected, and like I can't remember what they put on. I can't remember what they put on the other axis, but like Rashad Penny is just like way better than everybody else in terms of rushing yards over expected, and
it's probably yards after contact. He has a ton. He's averaged like 5.6 over the last 2 seasons yards after contact per rush. Like it's just an absolute nutty number. All right, I say personally that I have no clue what to do here. My initial thought is to reach in ADP because I don't like any of these guys. My initial thought is to take one of the tight ends. We have nothing, so let's take Chig. Let's take Chig.
I like that. We can reach on Chig. That's fine. We'll lock him up as our tight end 1, and that's just kind of a huge swing on the upside there. And it's the bring back against the Nico Collins. We'll prioritize CJ Stroud later on. Yep. This is feeling more like a 3 quarterback build now that we have Dak. We got Dak late, and then we could go like a CJ Stroud, Kenny Pickett, maybe like a CJ Stroud. Who else do we have?
We could go CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy.
It'll
make me throw up. You could also do Baker.
Honestly, Baker would make this team feel super unique.
Baker would be extremely unique. The Week 17 game against the Saints isn't great, but it's not terrible either. Like there could be worse.
Well, the way that I think about it is like Baker should never be our Week 17 quarterback. If Baker's our Week 17 quarterback, then we've lost.
Screwed up. We screwed up. Having Dak as our Week 17 quarterback is good because he plays the Lions.
He plays Detroit,
That's probably gonna be our Week 17 quarterback. So I'm not too worried there. I'm not too worried. I'm looking at some other things here. Nothing there. Where do you think we should go with this next pick?
163 is Ferguson. Honestly,
where do you think we should go with this next pick? Because I'm open to thoughts. We could reach a little bit on Brock He's going as 157 and we'd be up at 152. We could also go with a game run back for the Buccaneers for Mike Evans with Juwan Johnson.
I do like Juwan Johnson this year.
We could do that, and we could. It just leans into us taking Baker even more. I love Juwan Johnson this year personally, so we could do that. I think there's a couple.
That's my top priority right now, honestly.
Is building tight end.
Is getting Juwan Johnson.
Okay. It sounds like a good one to me, man. Sounds like a good one to me.
I don't have enough Juwan. I have Juwan Johnson in like 3 dynasty teams, but I don't have him on enough best balls.
Okay. I have him on 15%. So I am well bought in on that, man. He's my my 5th highest tight end. Him and Gerald Everett are pretty up there.
I like both of them. Actually, both on one of my dynasty teams, I have both Gerald Everett and Juwan Johnson.
Everett's just been a mainstay because I never thought he was good when he was on the Rams. And then he goes to an actual team that's going to utilize the tight end, the Chargers. And he's tried to, but he's just kind of gotten lost. And, he's still a little bit lost there, but he's a touchdown threat. So I like what he offers you as a touchdown threat and a guy who can play in the red zone. Okay. Ahead of us. Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
You know what? Honestly,
What?
Russell Wilson has fallen 2 rounds past ADP. He offers the bring back on Quentin Johnston.
He does. Let's do it.
Damn, I can't believe Jawan Johnson got sniped like that.
That hurts, but it just leans us into our Dallas Cowboys tight end
even
further.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to grab him at our next pick. That'll be the pick. Okay. Honestly, I don't hate the Russell Wilson pick here that much, especially 15 picks after ADP.
Yeah, what? That's so late.
Yeah, that is really late. I mean, like, I feel like Russell Wilson is in for a bounce back year. It feels that way, at least. Yeah,
you had the Broncos high in your Faro Analytics rankings, right?
They were like 10th, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 10th. I mean, they're 387, and like 10 to 20 is all pretty tight bunch. It's like 387 to 353. It's like a 50 or 30 point spread. Like, it's not that big.
Okay, that's still in there. Is that I'm trying to squint. The Chargers. Oh yeah, it's still ahead of the Chargers. Still second in the division. So it's a bump. It's definitely a bump.
Slight bump, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, we're gonna prioritize our
Is Mims is gone already, right?
Mims went in like the 9th round.
I'm like, I knew I hadn't seen that man. I've grabbed that man in all 3 of my managed redraft leagues so far, and I've had the luxury of playing on ESPN. ESPN's got that man down at 231 overall.
No way.
I'm just like scrolling through, grabbing that man in the like the 12th and 13th round, and everyone's like I'm just like, I got
that's my guy.
I'm sneaky. Yeah. That is totally my guy. So
oh man, I love Marvin Mims. So I got a Jake Ferguson. I feel like there's no real debate about that one.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
We both have by week 7, so we're gonna have to probably grab like one more tight end.
Okay. I'm good on a few late guys. Can you pull up tight end on there? I want to see who's available. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we can use as the third tight end. And a couple of them are late, so unfortunately one of them is Hunter Henry.
I don't hate Hunter Henry.
Yeah. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem is that you don't hate Hunter Henry.
I mean, like, I loved Hunter Henry back when he was on the Chargers and like pre-ACL tear, he was tearing it up for me.
Chargers Hunter Henry was so fun.
Yeah,
that was the first time. That was one of the first times I felt hope, and then it was quickly dashed after. Do you remember feeling hope? It's not something I feel much anymore when drafting best ball teams.
Oh man, well, I feel a little bit of hope. So I'm a Commanders fan. I feel a little bit of hope now that Snyder's. Wow. I feel a lot of hope now that Snyder's gone, because before it was completely non-existent.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that as like an Eagles fan who's had like a close kind of look at the demise and fall and the struggles of that. My cousins are both Commanders fans. Yeah. So I've heard it at like Thanksgiving before. You'd like this. The family gathering, you got two Giants fans. Two of my cousin's parents are Giants fans. My cousins are Commanders fans. Don't know how that happened. My dad and I are Eagles fans. So you got 3 warring factions. We're just glad that nobody's a Cowboys fan out there. But the Thanksgiving dinners are interesting, especially when the Cowboys are playing and losing. Everyone loves seeing that. And then, but when the Commanders are out there, it's usually a struggle. But I do get it. I mean, you guys grab yourself like a realistically solid quarterback next year, and you guys could have like a nice little solid offensive nucleus to go along with the defense that you already have.
Good.
All right, let's see here.
I like Rashid Shaheed here.
I like Rashid Shaheed here. Ugh, can't speak.
Let's go ahead and take Rashid Shaheed.
Okay.
He offers nice little bring back ability on Mike Evans and then Baker Mayfield later on.
Yep.
So that feels nice.
All right. So are we locked in with Baker? Baker is our last guy.
I think so. I think the only other guy that I would want to consider, just because we have Chig, is we could go
Tannehill. We could go Tannehill, but it's another. We got so many week 7 guys. We also have week 7 with Russ. Does that worry you at all, or are you okay with that as long as we have the week 9 on Russ?
Honestly, no, that does not worry me that much. Like, let's see who we're about to be up on the clock in a second. The Broncos. I don't think we can take a quarterback here. I think we can wait a little bit longer. So we have what? We have 3 picks left. We'll probably go one more quarterback, one more tight end, and then the last one, it could be either a running back or a wide receiver.
I'm good with that.
You see anyone you like here?
Not a huge Hodgins fan. I do like DPJ. Like he's a nice dart throw. I think he could be as high as the wide receiver too. We have no Cleveland. We have no Cleveland, and Cleveland does play the Jets.
Yeah, we don't have
week 17. Yeah. Do you want to make an up? Like, I don't even know if he's going to make the team. Justin Ross. Let's go Darius Slayton. Go with Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton. Let me add another share of Darius Slayton to this team.
Let's add Darius Slayton. I don't have much Darius Slayton, honestly.
I have a ton of him, but I can't help it. He is the best wide receiver in that Giants room. Like at this current moment, it's not Hyatt, it's not Hodgins, it's definitely not Paris Campbell.
He gets paid the most. So
yeah, and he's played the deep ball role for them before, so he could help open up the field for Waller to work around the middle and downfield. So I definitely think that we could have also taken Michael Wilson. That's not someone I've taken at all. I just am so far away from all Cardinals players that are not named James Conner.
Yeah, I'm only drafting James Conner. Really. I think I
have some Marquise Brown, but I'm scared. I'm scared of it.
I have a little bit of Marquise Brown. I think in 2 or 3 drafts, I've drafted Trey McBride in the 18th round. I haven't
done that. I think Zach Ertz is going to play.
You think Zach Ertz plays? Okay. I mean, Zach Ertz has gone through an unreal recovery. I don't understand how he's healthy.
The guy was always built different in Philly. I always he's I'll never not love everything that he did. As a member of the Eagles franchise, he was just so good for that. Yeah. What do you like for our last tight end? Do you want to wait until round 18, or do you want to take him here? Because I don't hate. I mean, we could add and we could really go deep into the Buccaneers stack and take Kate Otten. I mean, the guy has the role locked up.
Did you see what he had? The play that he had yesterday?
No. What was it?
They gave him a jet sweep.
I love that. I love that for him. I mean, he's not that heavy. He's 245, right? I think.
Yeah, something like that. Oh man! All right, we're going to close it out with Baker Mayfield and Kate Otten. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's 247. He can take jet sweeps. That's kind of wild that they gave him a jet sweep. I think the Buccaneers are just yeah, we're gonna suck this year, but we're gonna look stylish while doing it.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
I can't imagine it ends well for them. All right, man. Reflecting on this team, I like the way we built it. That running back room could do serious damage.
Oh yes, it could.
If Rashad Penny is the guy, that running back room could do so much damage.
Yeah, this running back room is scary. Fully healthy, this is the best running back room that I've seen built in fantasy.
Can't even lie. You got ADP values on Bijan and Saquon. Yeah, and on Penny. The wide receivers are upside driven as well.
Yeah,
and we're gonna all of them are after ADP as well. So
yeah, exactly. I'm a big fan of this wide receiver room. Big fan of the running back room.
Yeah,
the tight ends. Honestly, great spot to get Chig and Jake Ferguson. I think both of those are 2 big upside guys. I mean, every single Cowboys tight end has had shit ton of targets and touchdowns. So if Ferguson's the guy, then he should slide right into that role.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he is the guy, despite the fact that Schoonmaker caught a touchdown the other night. But I never was impressed by him. I watched a little bit of film and I watched a little bit of this season last year. He gets hurt a lot, and he's not that great a mover. What I saw from Ferguson, he looked pretty good last year. So, I mean, I'm willing to swing on it. I have a lot on him. My co-host of the podcast I do, High Floor, JR, he's a huge Jake Ferguson fan. So he's been converting me over the summer. And I think he's done like 250 drafts. I think he's probably got like 20% Jake Ferguson.
I love it.
Absolutely loves that guy.
It's Jake Ferguson season.
No, it's Ramondre Stevens season.
it is Ramondre Stevens season. I am hyped for Ramondre this year. I think the Patriots obviously actually could not be that bad either. Because
I don't really agree with that, but I just think it's going to be just good enough to where Ramondre gets like 65, 70 catches and hope that is where it goes from there.
There's no way it's worse than last year, though.
Definitely can't get worse than last year.
I mean, they had a defensive coordinator calling plays. That first of all, I didn't understand Matt Patricia calling plays at all. That made
guys are rocket scientists. They thought he was going to be smart. They didn't take into account the fact that he would be dumb. That's not how you become a rocket scientist.
There's no way. Oh man, that made no sense to me. But
they obviously said the guy's a rocket scientist. He can figure out how to call an offense.
They're like, look at him. He's got the pencil behind the ear.
He's a smart. He's like this is a legitimate fact. The guy's a smart dude. The guy worked for NASA. Why can't he run a football offense? I mean, when you say it like that, like the guy's working with astronautical stuff and literal rocket scientists. I feel like a football offense is somewhat easy for him, but clearly it wasn't. Clearly it wasn't.
I mean,
clearly it was hard.
He probably just overthought it. He overthought it.
Yeah, they all those guys they tend to do way too much analysis. Guy at take lock.
Yeah, take lock for sure. I mean,
yeah.
To be completely fair though, he didn't really have a ton of pieces to work with. I mean,
no.
I guess his strategy was let's just get the ball in our best player's hands, just give it to Ramondre every single play.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
we love it for fantasy. We love it for fantasy.
Yeah, I mean that definitely worked well for me in leagues where I had Ramondre last year, and I'm hoping that he does it again. And I don't really think Zeke's gonna be involved enough to the point where he's more than just a nuisance to Ramondre. I don't, because we everyone's saying, well, Zeke's been a 3-down back his entire career, which is true. But Zeke fell off a cliff last year. Like Zeke literally hit the running back cliff last year. Like, the cliff that we don't think exists for other guys. Well, it exists for the guy that's been spoon-fed 350 touches every single year for 6 straight years. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but it finally hit him and he looked really, really goddamn slow. And I don't know. I don't know if he's going to do it.
I don't know either, but that's the draft. That was a good one. I'm a big fan of it.
I liked it.
We got Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield at quarterback, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad Penny at running back, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans, Quentin Johnston, Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, Rashid Shaheed, Darius Slayton at wide receiver, and Chigozie Okonkwo, Jake Ferguson, and Cade Otton at tight end.
Not a draft I found myself doing this style of very often this offseason, but it's good for us to get out of our comfort zones.
Exactly.
And swing like this.
I like to say, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's exactly what we did today. This is a different draft than I've done typically too. I have done a few drafts in the past where I've gone 3 straight running backs. But I stopped doing them in July, but I'm really, really liking this build, especially with Ramondre falling back here to pick. I don't know why Ramondre's falling to the back end of the third. I mean,
because people are still that we're still getting that group of guys that think Zeke is going to push in. And this was definitely more significant when it happened 2 weeks ago. I think we obviously missed the initial buyback in on Ramondre when he was going in like the mid fourth round.
Yeah.
But now like he's creeped back into the end of the third, and I don't really hate it. For me, like this is a lineup that takes advantage of the redraft players coming back to fantasy, which is, drafting running back heavy to start, which is what your casual fantasy player is going to do. And it treats that with a ton of projectable high upside wide receivers and a mix of safe as well. So we have Mike Evans and Brandon Cooks for perceived safety. Yep. And we have QJ, Ayuk, and more for projectable upside, all with young quarterbacks that could ball out. So I mean it works out for me.
I like it too. This is a fun team. And I'm happy the way that it ended. This could be the one. It only takes one. That's what I've been saying all offseason. It only takes one.
It only takes one. Takes one.
But I think that's going to do it for us today. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. I had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Sam. This was a really, really solid team that we drafted. Great live stream, and I think that's going to do it. Well, Dropless Nation, this has been Josh Lee, Sam Wagman here. We've had this is a potential $3 million Best Ball Mania 4 draft, but that's going to do it for us all tonight. I hope all of you have a phenomenal rest of your Sunday night. Peace.